Welcome to the Ebbs of History, the show where we dive into the strangest, wildest, and sometimes downright creepiest stories the past has to offer. From dancing plagues to pirate queens, you'll laugh, you'll gasp, you'll even groan at my impeccable dad jokes. But most importantly, we'll learn how history is way cooler than your textbook ever told you.
We're your history-loving hosts, Zoe,
Gavin,
And I'm Jason, and in every episode, the three of us will take a quick trip through time and see what lessons we can still learn today. This is the Ebbs of History. Hey there, history lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Ebbs of History. We're so glad you're here with us again. Zoe, Gavin, how was everyone's week?
good. It's the weekend right now. Haven't really done much.
so that's good.
It's the first time in a long time that we haven't done something on the weekends.
It feels great.
Yeah, we needed a break for sure.
Yeah, just ate lunch. That was good.
Good. All right, Zoe, you like World War II history, right?
I do.
Well, you're going to love today's topic.
Well, let's go.
It involves a dead body, a fake identity, a sardine fisherman, Adolf Hitler, and the future creator of James Bond.
That is like a combination of things.
That's
That
right.
is just
We had a trivia thing about the creator of James Bond.
We did. Today, we are talking about Operation Mincemeat, one of the most bizarre, brilliant, and unhinged deception operations in the history of modern warfare. This is the true story of how a dead man who never actually existed helped save thousands of Allied lives, fooled the most dangerous regime of the 20th century, and changed the course of World War II. Buckle up. Gavin, do you know who the Allied forces in World War II are?
it's the side that's not on the Nazis.
That's correct, but do you know what the two main countries are?
England and America.
Correct. Those are the two main. Also, their partners like Canada, Australia, and many, many others.
Wasn't the Soviets on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I forgot about that one, yeah. So that's the
And
third
France.
one. I just think it's so weird because of what happened
Exactly.
during World War II and after.
Yeah.
Because the after really started during World War II.
Yeah. The Cold War started World War II.
Yeah, it really did. Zoe, do you know the Axis powers?
Germany, Italy, and Japan.
Correct. All right, it's the spring of 1943. The Allied forces have just finished clearing the Axis powers out of North Africa. It was a massive, grinding victory. Now they need to push into Europe. They need a foothold. The most logical and strategically critical target is the island of Sicily, right at the toe of Italy's boot. Take Sicily, and you crack open southern Europe like a can of sardines. But here's the problem. The Germans know Sicily is the obvious target. The island is sitting right there, practically waving at you from North African coast. So the Germans had fortified it very heavily. A direct assault could cost tens of thousands of Allied lives. So the question facing British intelligence was, how do you convince an entire enemy military to look the other way? The answer, and I promise you this is real, was a dead man with a briefcase. Let's go back a few years. 1939, very, very beginning of the war. A British naval intelligence officer named Rear Admiral John Godfrey circulates a document called the Trout Memo. The Trout Memo compares deceiving the enemy to fly fishing. You dangle something tempting, and you hope the fish bites. The memo lists over 24 wild schemes for misleading the Germans. Item number 28 on that list reads, and I quote, "A suggestion, not a very nice one. The idea? Let a dead body wash ashore carrying fake secret documents. Let the enemy find the documents and believe they're real." Now, the memo was issued under Godfrey's name, but historians are pretty confident the real author was his personal assistant, a young naval officer named Lieutenant Commander Ian Fleming. Does that name sound familiar to you two?
Yes.
It does, but I don't know.
Because from
who it
trivia,
is.
because
The person that made James Bond.
That's right. Yes, the same Ian Fleming that it was the answer to one of our trivia questions last week. The man who would one day create James Bond. It turns out 007's creator was literally in the business of coming up with outlandish spy schemes before he started even writing about them.
Huh. That's really funny.
Fast forward to late 1942. 2 British intelligence officers pick up that old idea and decide to actually run with it. The first was Ewan Montague, a barrister turned naval intelligence officer. Do you guys know what a barrister is?
No.
Zoe, do you know?
No.
A barrister is basically an attorney in England. They call them barristers.
So like a lawyer.
Yeah. Now, the second guy, I'm going to give you the spelling of his name, and then I want you to tell me how to say it. Okay?
Okay.
First name is Charles. That one's easy. Last name spelled Cholmondeley. How do you think that is pronounced?
Codenamed.
Okay?
Trollmondely.
Okay. Chumley.
Chumley?
Chumley. Just simple, 2-syllable, Chumley.
That's a Utah name.
Nuts, right? Well, Chumley and Montague are an odd couple. Chumley is an RAF officer with an inventive, almost theatrical mind. Montague is sharp, methodical, and deeply detail-oriented. Together, they form a committee that will take the world's weirdest spy plan from a footnote in a memo to an operation approved by Winston Churchill himself. Core idea?
We saw that thing from Jack Sucks at Life that Winston Churchill was like a terrible person.
Yes, I really, really, really want to look into that because I did not know that.
I wasn't there watching that. What?
That Winston Churchill is actually a horrible, horrible person.
Other than like...
You know, he took Britain through the war and everything, but like in actuality, he was just... Personally, he was a horrible person.
Well, to get something through a war, you need to not be a really good person. Like,
It's-
if you think about it, like
It's like doesn't relate to World War II.
Yeah, it's other things and how he treated people and how he felt about certain groups of people. Yeah, I got to do some research on it because I don't want to say too much because I don't know for sure. But yeah,
but it makes sense because it's like you can't be like the best person in the world if you want to run a nation through a war and be on the winning side of the war.
I'll do some research and maybe we'll take a look at it because it's part of crazy history where you've got this figure that is so big in history and everybody loves him and all that kind of stuff, but then you come to find out that there's really a darker side to him. So maybe we'll do that in the future. I'll add it to my list. The core idea: find a dead body, dress it as a British military officer, give it completely fabricated identity, complete with personal belongings, love letters, a photo of a fiancé, theater ticket stubs, the works. Plant fake military documents on the body suggesting the Allies plan to invade Greece and Sardinia instead of Sicily. Then drop that body in the ocean near Spain, where it will wash ashore, and hopefully the Spaniards will pass the documents to the Germans.
Because Spain was under fascist rule at this point. They technically weren't in the war, but
That's right.
they were in the war on the side of the Nazis. That like Franco ran it like Hitler ran Germany.
100%.
They technically stayed neutral, but
Yep.
if you really look at it, like yeah, they were not neutral. It was kind of like U.S. bringing stuff.
The Lend-Lease Act?
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, now comes a part of the story that gets both deeply sad and deeply strange. To pull this off, Chumley and Montague needed an actual human body. Not a murder victim, not a soldier, someone whose death was accidental or natural, who had no close relatives actively searching for them, and whose cause of death would be consistent with drowning. Or at least wouldn't immediately be obvious as something else if the Spanish coroner looked at it. With help of a London pathologist, they found their man. Spelling test number 2. Again, I'm going to give you his name, the spelling of his name, and you tell me how to pronounce it. Glynndwr.
Glinder.
Glinder? Okay, Zoe?
Glinder.
So it's a Welsh name.
Yeah. I can tell.
So this is his first name.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to butcher the actual pronunciation, but it's Glendower.
You're close.
You're close, but it's been anglicized to Glendor. So I'm just going to call him Glendor. Glendor Michael was his full name, so Michael was his last name. Glendore Michael was a 34-year-old Welsh laborer who had drifted to London after a hard life in Wales. He had no known relatives. He died in January of 1943 after apparently ingesting rat poison, most likely accidentally, while scavenging for food. He died alone, in poverty, and largely unknown. Nobody came looking for him. Cholmondeley and Montague selected Michael's body carefully. The rat poison he had ingested had caused liver damage, which in a medical examination could potentially be confused with damage consistent with immersion in seawater. It wasn't a perfect cover, but it was workable, especially if the examination wasn't done by a top forensic specialist. Now the team had the body. What they needed was a person. Over the coming weeks, Cholmondeley and Montague constructed one of the most elaborate fake identities in history. They named him Captain Acting Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. They gave him a military ID card, a silver chain with St. Christopher medal on it, a photo of his quote-unquote fiancée, a woman named Pam, actually a photo of a civilian clerk working for MI5 who agreed to help them, a tender love letter from Pam written by the same MI5 clerk, a letter from his father, a bill from his tailor, receipts from his hotel, stubs from a theater show he had attended just days before his supposed death, and an overdraft notice from his bank, because a real person would absolutely have an overdraft notice.
What was his last name again? Sorry, there was a... I'm sorry, William Martin. Is there anything after that?
Captain
No.
Acting Major William Martin of Royal Marines. That better not be a question, because I just gave it the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Every
Sorry.
single detail was designed to create the impression of a real man with a real life. A man who had been busy and in love and slightly broke, just like everyone else. The critical item was a briefcase handcuffed to his wrist. Inside, a letter from Lieutenant General Archibald Nye to General Harold Alexander, discussing invasion plans for Greece and Sardinia.
Who were the people? The Archibald who?
Lieutenant General Archibald Nye sending a letter to General Harold Alexander. The letter was written in the casual, confident tone of men who assumed it would never ever be read by the enemy. Because real secret documents aren't like James Bond villain monologues. They're chatty and offhand, which actually makes them even more convincing. Zoe, if you were reading a letter from one British general to another that said, in so many words, yeah, Sicily is just a cover, the real targets are Greece and Sardinia, would you believe it, or would you smell a rat?
What does smell of that mean?
Like it was planted. It's not real.
Right. Something's not right. It's exactly right. A farce.
I mean, if it looked official enough, I would probably believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that's not what I'm supposed to do, just believe things at first look. But I mean, I would do my research, but if I had no research, I would probably just benefit. Because what if it's true?
Right.
We want to prepare.
Exactly. Gavin, any thoughts? Please.
No.
In April 1943, William Martin's body, packed in a specially designed container filled with dry ice to preserve it, was loaded onto a British submarine HMS Seraph. The crew was told they were transporting highly classified meteorological equipment. They were not told there was a dead man in the canister. It took 10 days to reach their destination, during which the submarine was bombed twice by enemy aircraft. But in the early morning hours of April 30th, 1943, 83 years ago today,
Wait, that's so cool.
HMS Seraph surfaced off the coast of Huelva in southwestern Spain. The officers, and only the officers, carefully lowered William Martin into the water. The submarine's engines revved so the wash would push the body toward the shore. Then they dove and disappeared into the Atlantic. A few hours later, a sardine fisherman off the coast of Huelva spotted something floating in the water. He pulled it ashore. It was the body of a British officer in uniform, his briefcase still handcuffed to his wrist. Local Spanish authorities recovered the body and the documents. Spain, under dictator Francisco Franco, was officially neutral in World War II, but it was secretly sharing intelligence with the Nazis.
Not so secretly.
Right. True to form, Spanish intelligence passed copies of the documents to the Abwehr, the German military intelligence service. I guess that would be pronounced Abwehr.
In German.
In German. Before returning the originals to the British. The British, brilliantly, then spent several frantic days sending urgent diplomatic cables demanding the return of Major Martin's documents, which of course made the Germans even more convinced that the documents were genuine. Why would the British be so desperate to get them back unless they were real, right? The Germans analyzed the documents, they checked the personal items on the body, they consulted their own experts, and they concluded this was real. This British officer had died in a plane crash over the Atlantic, and the documents he was carrying revealed the Allies' actual invasion plan. Adolf Hitler personally approved moving significant German forces away from Sicily and toward Greece and Sardinia.
Wow.
Field Marshal Rommel was even dispatched to Greece. The panzer divisions were repositioned. Sicily, the actual target, was left comparatively undermanned.
Oh my god. It was all a trickery, you see. A ruse that you fell for hook, line, and sinker.
This kind of reminds me of the, on the battlefields, they would put, like, props of, like, tanks and stuff to fool them. That kind of, like, this is, like, kind of what it gives as well. It's just, like, it's just another part of this. I know there's a name for it. I just can't remember it.
A ruse?
Like, a specific name for what they did.
You know, they actually started building another Paris.
What?
Yeah. To
Where?
try and trick the Germans into bombing the
I
fake
remember
Paris.
that.
Yeah. That was one of those ruses.
Yeah.
A ruse. Well, the are there.
On July 10th, 1943, approximately 160,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Sicily. The Germans were caught almost completely off guard. The invasion succeeded far faster and at a far lower cost than anticipated. Within 38 days, Sicily fell to the Allies.
Wow. I mean...
And
Right?
Sicily is in
It
Italy, which is an Axis power. So that was
The
a
deception
big...
The deception helped precipitate the fall of Benito Mussolini, who was ousted by his own government just weeks later.
Wow. I mean, like... That's part of why they won the war. Like,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was one of, like, the big moments that won them the war, you know?
Italy would eventually switch sides and become part of the Allies. The road to Allied victory in Europe had been opened.
At least mainland Europe.
Yeah. Winston Churchill famously received the message confirming the operation's success. His reply was 3 words: mincemeat swallowed whole. Glendor Michael's role in all of this was kept completely secret for decades. The operation itself was partially declassified in 1953, but Michael's true identity wasn't publicly revealed until 1998, 55 years after his body was used to help win the war. Today, Glendor Michael is buried in the cemetery at Huelva, Spain, under a headstone that reads, William Martin, born the 29th of March, 1907. Whose birthday is that?
Is that me?
Zoe.
Is that
Oh my
me?
God.
All right, I'm going to... William Martin, born 29th March 1907, died 24th April 1943, beloved son of John Glendor Martin and the late Antonia Martin of Cardiff, Wales. Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori, which means it is sweet and honorable to die for your country. In 1998, however, a second plaque was added, acknowledging his real identity. Glendor Michael served as Major William Martin, a homeless man from Wales who died alone and unknown, helped save thousands of lives, and changed the course of the most destructive war in human history.
Historiography.
There's not much to the historiography of Operation Mincemeat because its existence was kept under wraps for years, as you would expect from a top-secret wartime deception. The operation was first partially revealed in 1953 when Ewan Montague published a book called The Man Who Never Was, which became a bestseller and was adapted into a film the following year. However, Montague's account omitted key details, including the true identity of Glendor Michael, to protect still sensitive intelligence methods. The most comprehensive account came in 2010 when historian and author Ben Macintyre published Operation Mincemeat, How a Dead Man and Bizarre Plan Fooled the Nazis and Assured an Allied Victory. Macintyre had access to newly declassified files and MI5 records. His book revealed the full story of Glendor Michael, the complete cast of characters, and the extraordinary lengths the team went to into crafting William Martin's fake identity. A Netflix film adaptation followed in 2022, And most recently, a Broadway musical has been created and has won a few Tonys. Yeah, I had no idea Operation Mincemeat was a Broadway musical until I started doing research for this episode.
I knew it was a Broadway musical. I just never listened to it before. It's just...
I had no idea.
I knew it existed. It's just never, piqued my interest or anything to actually listen to it or look into it or anything. But I knew it existed. And I knew it won Tonys. Is it on or off Broadway?
On, or at least it was. Historians broadly agree that Operation Mincemeat was one of the most successful strategic deceptions of World War II, and that it genuinely shortened the Sicilian campaign and saved significant numbers of Allied lives, not to mention German lives that were saved. Estimating exactly how many lives is difficult, but the consensus is that the early and decisive capture of Sicily, made possible by German forces being elsewhere, prevented what could have been a catastrophic frontal assault on a heavily defended island. Lessons we've learned today. So, what do we take away from a story involving a fake dead officer, a sardine fisherman, and a briefcase full of lies?
Look into everything. Don't just take things at face value.
Details matter enormously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they really fleshed out this guy, but... they really fleshed him out. So the lie was really hard to detect.
Yes.
They really, spent time on this, you can tell.
Theater ticket stubs, overdraft notices, love letters, a picture of his fiance. None of it was real, but they thought of all these itty-bitty little details that just lent to the realism of it.
It reminds me of, building a character. It's, usually, what's their shoe size?
In D&D.
In D&D, we were playing D&D today earlier.
I feel like I say this a lot, but I'm kind of going off of what Zoe says. Don't believe everything you see instantly. I say that a lot, but that's, a really good lesson, especially in history, with, deceptions like this.
Yeah.
You know?
The best deceptions exploit what the enemy already believes, kind of, is where you're kind of going down. Germany already thought that Sicily was going to be their, the big push, which it ended up being, but they were so into that idea that they believed that it could go somewhere else because they were so worried about what was going to happen.
I feel like one of the huge mistakes was moving all their people to the other place.
Yeah,
of their troops.
absolutely.
Not half and
Not
half.
half and half. Yeah, exactly.
You know what? That happened twice to the Germans.
Yeah.
When did it first happen, Zoe?
Was it Stalingrad?
Oh, no, actually, this would be the first one. The second one happened. D-Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Germans, where did the Germans think D-Day was going to happen? Do you remember?
They thought it was going to happen more near, the English Channel, right?
It was all on the English Channel, but they thought it was going to happen near Calais.
Oh, yeah, and it happened on the beaches of Normandy.
It happened more south. Wasn't as easy as a trip across the English Channel for the Allies, but it deceived the Germans. And so even though there were still heavy casualties at D-Day, it could have been so much worse if the Germans had amassed their war machine in Normandy and not at Calais.
The Germans, they have because they thought, didn't they do they always just send all of their troops? It's not it's like that Ron Swanson quote. They never they never half-ass one thing. They always full-ass the whole
That's
two
right.
things. You know what I'm talking about?
It's one of my favorite quotes.
It's so good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But they always just full force.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big mistake,
Yeah.
It's like going all in.
Yeah.
You know?
They don't divide up their power.
They don't.
It wasn't 100%. They would still leave troops places. They left them. They left them in Sicily. Still, there were still some there. You can't just completely abandon a spot because then it's just, people can just walk in and say, "Okay, this one's mine." But yeah, the last one that I wanted to point out was the unseen contributions shape history. So Glendor Michael never knew he was going to be helping in a war, right? He died in poverty and anonymity.
And let alone the winning of a war.
Right.
It started the winning of the Western Front. It started the winning.
Mm-hmm. And even though his role was hidden for 55 years, he still contributed, History is full of people whose contributions were real but invisible, and that's what we're sitting with for a little bit. It's not just everything that you read. There's
more stuff to uncover.
There's accounts of people that didn't get interviewed by a reporter, or they did something in a war and it wasn't written down. Their contributions count just as much as the ones that you know about.
History is never complete.
Yes, Excellent point.
Like, there's always something that you can find. That,
Always another side.
Yep. It's time for the Fun Fact Challenge. You guys know the rules. Let me finish the question. Lock in. Best of 3. Question 1. Operation Mincemeat was partially inspired by a list of wild spy schemes called the Trout Memo, believed to have been written by which future famous author?
Locked in.
Zoe.
What? No, it's me.
And by the way, guys, it was Zoe. When you thought it was you, when I went back and I was editing, it was 100% Zoe.
Ian Fleming.
Correct.
So stupid. I should have got that.
Question 2. What was the name of the real man whose body was used in Operation Mincemeat, and what was the fake name he was given?
Locked in.
Zoe. I mean, Gavin.
Give it to me. Okay.
I did that on purpose.
Real name. Oh, sorry. My paper. Okay. Glyndor Michael, and then Captain Acting Major William Martin of Royal Marines.
That's exactly what I have written down here.
Yeah,
Good
you
job,
gave
dude.
me that answer. You literally gave me that answer.
I should get extra points.
For
And plus, you stole my last one.
Oh.
So.
All right. So now, this last one has to be given the exact answer. Okay? No paraphrasing, an exact quote. Question 3. When Winston Churchill received confirmation that the Germans had been fooled by Operation Mincemeat, what 3-word message did he send back?
Locked
Locked
in.
in.
Definitely Zoe.
I
Sorry, dude.
Mincemeat swallowed whole.
Correct. Correct.
Dad.
I literally wrote that down. The second you saw it, I'm like, oh, he's gonna say that. I should probably know that for you have to.
This day in history. April 30th, 1943. What do you think happened?
Well, this.
Operation Mincemeat, correct. All right, that one doesn't count. April 30th, 1789, George Washington is inaugurated as the first president of the United States in New York City, marking the beginning of the federal government under the U.S. Constitution.
Awesome.
Awesome. Isn't that crazy? April 30th, he was inaugurated, and we do it now. It's January 20th.
Yeah.
What a difference.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's
Yeah.
like our spring breaks.
Elected in November, and what, 5 months later, more than 5 months later,
Yeah.
he's finally inaugurated.
5 months is a long time.
5 months with a lame duck president, when it's switching over. It's crazy.
Like, ugh, can I just get in office already? Like, come on, give it to me.
April 30th, 1803, the United States completes the Louisiana Purchase with France, doubling the size of the young nation and reshaping the map of North America.
Wow, that's like
The Louisiana Purchase was absolutely ginormous.
Yeah, it was huge.
For America.
Yeah. And that was...
'Cause
What president was that? 1803.
I know.
I haven't taken a push yet.
Doesn't matter. You should know this.
Oh shoot.
Oh, Thomas Jefferson.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You should know this. Well, it makes sense because he was close with the French,
He was close with the French.
but they also heavily discounted it because it was like trash land.
They
for them.
needed it because they were fighting wars
Yeah.
against the
Oh, it was 30 Years' War, right?
English, I believe. So, yeah, I think so.
A lot of stuff happened for America.
Yeah.
Like, huge stuff.
And I don't have to know any of it right now.
And then finally, on this date, 1945, Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun die in Berlin as the Third Reich collapses. The event becomes one of the defining turning points of the end of World War II.
Wow. A lot of stuff happened today.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's crazy.
Specifically with World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And America.
All right, a homeless man from Wales, fake fiance named Pam, a sardine fisherman, and a briefcase full of lies. And somehow, history turned. Never underestimate a good plan, and never forget the people history forgot. That's it for this episode. Thanks for traveling through time with us on Ebbs of History. If you like today's story, share it with a teacher, a friend, or your family on Instagram at Ebbs of History. If you have any show ideas, corrections, or questions, you can contact us at questions@ebbsofhistory.
Signing off, this has been your co-host, Gavin.
Zoe.
And me, Jason, reminding you that history is not just about dates and battles. It's about people, curiosity, and the weird, wonderful choices that shaped our world. Until next time,
Keep wondering.
Keep laughing.
and keep learning through
The Ebbs of History.